From the KeyBank Center in Buffalo, surrounded by a fair number of fans, Kevin Adams, the Sabres GM, will make the first pick.
On behalf of the Buffalo Sabres and all of our great fans, we are proud to select from the University of Michigan, Owen Power.
Owen Powers.
It's Power. P-O-W-E-R.
6'6" tall. You can see the height right there. Great head of hair.
How?
Says he's going back to Michigan.
6'6".
Wolverines.
And he's a defenseman.
Yeah, but they're not all 6'6".
In your organization now, or do you go back to college?
The only one is
I
6'7".
think when you take the first pick overall,
And I think
6'7".
Chara. I think Jamie Alexiak might be 6'6".
Oh, he was the one they said was the heaviest guy in the NHL.
Not a bad place. Ramusi is French for Secaucus. Could he be as good
Does he
as
know
Victor
he's on
Hedman?
camera and
No, that's
all we're
a
seeing
compliment
is his
here.
back?
Yeah, there are a lot of comparisons, and I think one of the
Well-
main reasons why is because you're seeing a tall player who doesn't overexert himself physically, doesn't initiate the physicality, yet uses his body effectively to defend. So when you think about Hedman, he's a really difficult player to play against now, but you don't think of him like Shea Weber, that he's going to run you through
Owen
the end
Power.
zones. And I think Owen Power is going to grow into that and develop that part of his game a little bit more, but I don't ever think he's going to be that big banger and crasher. But man, this really can impact the organization. A 6'6" defenseman who skates like that. I mean, if you had to go out and acquire this in the free agent market, it would cost you a fortune, Seth Jones. Or if you had to,
$40 million signing bonus.
or if you had to trade for it, Seth Jones, it's costing you a lot.
Yeah.
Now you get this guy for free.
Hey, I couldn't agree more, I think. Here's one thing. We're talking about where Owen Power and how we project him. Let's take it all the way back. You saw what he did growing up, obviously. You would have had a chance to see him play back home. He then goes to Chicago Steel, which is the unconventional route, but they have a great program. They just won the Clark Cup again. So he goes to Chicago Steel, plays there, lights it up there, goes to University of Michigan. For a freshman, I thought he lit it up too. You are on the college hockey beat. Then he goes to the men's worlds and says, hey, look out, NHL players. I can play here too. And as the tournament went along, ends up being a key piece of the gold. So from a progression standpoint, he might want to go back to Ann Arbor for one more year and hang on the campus, and they've got an amazing team.
Yeah,
one of the best college teams ever assembled. But all that being said, he's played so much hockey and excelled at all these levels.
Yeah, Michigan is an absolute wagon. There were no fans. He didn't get the college experience last year. Frozen Four in Boston.
Yeah.
Last time Michigan won a natty was in Boston.
Sure.
It could be a lot of fun for him. And then join the Sabres maybe in March or at the end of the year.
Well, the World Juniors, he didn't have the opportunity
That's right.
to go last year. It would have been 51 days gone from Mel Pearson's team. They couldn't afford that. So
Right.
maybe that opportunity presents itself, and hey, you join at the end of the year. But that progression, there was a little bit of luck involved. Colin Miller got hurt. He got put up in a pairing with Troy Stetcher, and they couldn't take him off that second pairing. He was that good. By the end of it, he's playing all the high leverage minutes. Every important situation for Gerard Gallant there. To go 0-3 and then win a gold with that guy as a key piece, that says a lot.
Let's talk Seattle Kraken. We just had the expansion draft Wednesday night. Weeksy was there out there in Seattle chucking and catching fish. Still stinks. And there they are.
Tonight for you.
Ron Francis, he has plenty of options. From here, the draft, again, so many boards are so varied for team
they're
to team.
inside the
This
Space
this
Needle.
next 2 to 10, it really could go at a myriad of ways. But the name we keep hearing, Sam, as we look at the forward lines as they presently are constructed after the expansion draft, things could still change. But when you look at someone like a teammate of Owen Power, Matty Beniers, a lot of times an employer will hire somebody who reminds them of themselves. And Matty Beniers has a lot of Ron Francis in his game in every situation player.
Well, it was great when Weeksy came back and he said, yeah, you know, I was talking to everybody there. He's the mayor here, he's the mayor everywhere. And he said, we want to create an identity. And how do you do that? You take a player like Matty Beniers, who is the representative of what a blue-collar town would be like. A guy who works both ends of the ice. A guy who's tall, good-looking dude. He has identity. He's extremely responsible. So this is the type of guy you're looking for.
The pick is in.
From the Space Needle in Seattle, General Manager of the Seattle Kraken, Ron Francis, will make the number 2 selection.
On behalf of Mr. David Bonderman and our entire ownership group, I'd like to thank the Commissioner and the 31 member clubs for welcoming the Seattle Kraken into the National Hockey League. And on behalf of our passionate fans, I'm proud to make a historical first ever amateur draft selection for our team by choosing from the University of Michigan, Matthew Beniers.
Veneers.
Was that the one that they projected to be number 2?
Now that I don't
Big
know,
time
but he's a
complete
top
center,
prospect.
PK, matchup center guy. Could be a power play guy as well. And so a guy who many feel has a bit of Ron Francis in him, Kevin Weeks, is selected by Ron Francis.
Yeah, exactly. My former teammate Ron Francis, and had a chance to speak to him briefly, but well, some of the other members of their brain trust there as well, their senior executive leadership, and some of the coaching staff. This team is doing everything
24 points in 24 games.
Time out there, and I had the feeling from speaking that if Beniers was still there,
and he won a USA championship.
Let's think about it this way, all right? If you look at the mold that he plays in a similar style, Jonathan Toews, he wins at everything. 3 Stanley Cups, Olympic gold, World Junior, huge in that World Junior. Same thing for Patrice Bergeron. That's where they met, in that World Junior. Been to 3 cups, won 1 for the Bees. Gortz, I know somebody like you would be able to sleep very easy with a center iceman like that.
Yeah, Taze, Bergeron, give me 50% of that and we'll take it, right? I think Ronnie Francis would say that. This kid's, he's a terrific player. He plays the whole sheet. It's well documented. This is a great selection, I think, for Seattle to start this off. The only thing that surprised me a little bit is that Weeksy didn't make the pick.
Exactly. Did you record that the other night while you were
that
there?
wasn't. Hey, listen.
Those pirated videos
I'll
on
give you
Twitter.
Shaggy, wasn't
Pirated
Emily Calhoun with
videos.
us all night long. She is in Columbus, giving us Blue Jacket perspective. They got 3-1, but she's also there covering the NHL throughout. Emily.
Yeah, Ron Francis just calls him Matthew, but he says that his name is Matty. He's not a Matter of Matthew, that's just not his personality. His mom is actually a Broadway actress, and he once was a theater kid himself, now a bit more of an academic. He was committed to go to Harvard, season was canceled, went to Michigan instead, studied pre-med and is interested in dermatology, loves the show Dr. Pimple Poppers. And Matty's a kid that struggles to put on weight, and when he came back from Worlds, he weighed in at 168 pounds. So this summer, he really focused on gaining weight. It was like a full-time job. 5 to 6 meals a day, 5 to 6,000 calories a day. He can always go to his favorite restaurant, Chipotle. And guys, he's fully aware, walk is extra. Back to you guys.
Matty Ice
He's
is
fully
a
aware
Seattle
what is
Kraken.
extra?
Was set to go to Harvard, a very high-achieving family.
Yes.
Mom went to Cornell. Ends up in Michigan. What are the Kraken fans who are watching tonight? Great ratings the other night. Kraken fans out there for the expansion draft. What are they getting, Matty Beniers?
They get the entire package. They get a kid who's got great character. They get a kid who can play, as you mentioned, the full sheet of the ice. But there are a couple of key moments that I was looking for throughout the course of the year. The first was at the World Juniors. And here's a guy who at the World Juniors, looking defensively responsible right here. Yeah, now I'll take the puck and go, anticipate the play, take it one-on-one into the zone. But at the World Juniors, he was used in high leverage situations once again, taking key draws down the stretch. It doesn't typically happen for an underage player at that tournament, especially with the success that the U.S. had in winning that tournament. And then you think about, all right, he's a late birthday guy. The World say, why don't you come with us? And he didn't quite really catch pace there, played in a couple minutes here and there. But the simple fact that they brought him tells me everything that they think about this young man. Unfortunately, he ended up getting hurt. But he can do a lot of different things. He can play both sides of the puck. He can score with some skill and bring that identity for a brand new franchise.
And we'll see if he returns to Michigan or decides to turn pro with the Kraken. Now it gets interesting. We thought it would be Power and Beniers 1-2. Now we're not really sure. A great night for Owen Power and Matty Beniers, but the Anaheim Ducks are on the clock. What will they do? Find out next.
They were the ones who wanted to switch with Buffalo.
From the Honda Center, with fans on the arena floor, the Anaheim Ducks selection, number 3, will be made by Executive Vice President and General Manager Bob Murray. Bob, you're up.
The Anaheim Ducks are proud with the 3rd pick of the 2021 draft. Happy and excited to draft from the Peterborough Pete's hockey team, Mason McTavish.
All right. No relation to Craig. I'm sure many of you are asking that the first question out of your mouths. But boy, it's tough to pass up on a big, thick center. This guy really came out of nowhere. He shot up the draft board, Sam.
He sure did. And I think about a couple of recent Bob Murray picks, and I think about Max Jones plays with some belligerence. I think about Max Comtois, who has a little bit of that with goal-scoring ability. And I think Mason McTavish is very much along those lines. When you go back to looking at his rookie year, 16 years old, Rob Wilson says, hey, son, you're not going to play center where you played minor hockey. You're going to the wing. And what did he do? He scored 29 goals there as a 16-year-old, really difficult. Manipulating the blade angle, in close. He could shoot from distance as well. And then he went over to Switzerland because the OHL didn't play. And he asserted himself against men and said, hey, I can do this. And he felt like he was chomping at the bit to get back to the under-18s to say, oh, I'm going to destroy the competition here. Dave Barr puts him at center ice, his natural position. He wins 60% of his draws. He continues to score. He goes to the net. He's making plays. He's showing off leadership. This guy is a warrior, and no question that Bob Murray's sitting there saying, I got another
No, that's the Ducks.
Oh, the
additional
Ducks.
to what Max has already brought to the table as he had that turnaround year.
Pretty good compliment to Zegras too. If they get Zegras to the middle and McTavish, nice little blend of some finesse and some power down the middle. Pretty good selection.
I love that. I love your point about that duo, having that little combination. Those guys running little short plays off the cycle in the offensive zone. And listen, as the games went along, he got better and better. And I love the power that he showed. People don't recognize he was born in Switzerland, by the way, so people don't recognize that. That's, to your point, how he was able to go over and play in the Swiss second division and played very well. He asserted himself, but he can beat goalies. I saw a lot of tape on him, beating goalies from distance, slinging that wrister from behind him. He has an NHL shot and body right now. I love his game.
He's ripped. He's absolutely ripped. This guy, his brother's an MMA fighter. I think he's got a fight in Montreal tomorrow night, so he's probably been working out with his brother. And you might be fooled, you know, he's got the round hair going and the curls. Don't be fooled. This guy's ripped, and he's a power forward extraordinaire.
All right, New Jersey Devils. Speaking of the Devils, they are on the clock now, and now the intrigue starts. They have a Hughes brother. They have Jack, who they took first overall. Will brother Luke join him? Luke is a defenseman. He's now the tallest of the three. Had a very late growth spurt recently. So this real skilled defenseman, wonderful skater, now also adds a little bit of a reach in his game, which can certainly add any defender's plus rating there.
From the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, obviously at a viewing party, the Executive Vice President and General Manager, Tom Fitzgerald, will make the 4th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft. Tom, the floor is yours.
It's great to see everybody here finally live at the Prudential Center. I want to thank all our staff behind me for all their tireless work they've put in this last 2 years. With the 4th overall pick, the New Jersey Devils are proud to present pick from the USA Development Program, Luke Hughes.
Oh, the Hughes brothers are going to play together.
There it is. Remember, he sustained that lacerated tendon in his foot in March. He got cut by a skate. He missed the 2021 U18s on his way to Michigan to join that star-studded cast. So we'll have plenty of insulation around him in terms of talent and obviously driven personalities to work on his game and be on a team that's really going to be thinking about a championship. And yeah, they are pumped, aren't they? To have 2 brothers on the same team, that saves a lot of airline miles.
What an opportunity.
I can't tell whether Lucas is happy or
Jack
is happier.
But he is, because not only his brother gets drafted, but he gets to play with him.
Yeah, but no, this is a special time, obviously, for the Hughes family.
Now I wonder.
It's a pretty high-end caliber player to have.
Now I wonder if Quinn's now going to ask Vancouver for a trade.
So many families have these.
They'll be like, Quinn Hughes has been traded to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for PK Subban and some prospects.
I go back to watching Little Caesars playing for Brian Smolinski there in the U16s, and you could tell that he was a little bit deer on skates at that point, and his game has just grown by leaps and bounds. Jeff, you talked about that trajectory, and you think that with him being one of the younger players of the elite in this draft class, that trajectory is going to continue on that 45-degree angle. So the ceiling is massive for this guy. You know, what's interesting about him is the fact that he played a large portion of the season on his offside.
Yeah.
So now, when he transitions to the National Hockey League, that's not going to be a surprise for him. Right-handed defenseman, always difficult to come by. This left shot can play the right side as well. That's that added value for the player. But here's some of the things that he does similar to what his brothers do. Extreme amount of confidence with the puck to do anything at any time. There's Quinn Hughes. Oh yeah, I'm the last guy. Little dipsy-do, no problem. I'll take it into the zone. I'm not worried about being backed up. I'm confident with the puck. All right, well, Luke Hughes, I'm going to do a little bit more of the same thing. No problem, get it down to the middle of the ice. Hey, Jack Hughes, this looks familiar. All right, I'm going to cut it back towards the middle of the ice. Yep, dish it off. That's a snipe in the back of the net for the New Jersey Devils. So the foundation for all of the Hughes brothers is based on that great skating ability, their edge work, their ability to turn on a dime. That mobility is simply fantastic. It works well in today's transitional game. The other part is that confidence with the puck, the ability to do anything with the puck at any time. They've all competed against one another.
Oh, he gets so he's wearing his brother's jersey.
Within the family, the youngest guy, Weeksy, exactly, always has to fight.
Oh wow,
for
usually they,
Totally, no question
Half
about it.
21.
I love the fact that he's a two-way defenseman.
You have the
He's
number
gifted
showing
enough
the year
offensively
that
to
the
make plays and
draft.
generate offense.
Oh.
He can beat a forecheck himself.
I didn't
He
know
can
that,
activate
but
the forward in
I
the
thought
offensive
usually
zone
the-
like a forward. But
jersey
defensively, he
comes
also
from
wants
the
to match
team.
up. He
Yeah.
also wants to defend. He wants to kill penalties. He wants to do these things and be more of an overall defenseman. But what a time for their family. I remember Gortz being just up the road at the Prudential Center when we unveiled his brother as the one overall pick. And this is awesome stuff for them.
Yeah, incredible. The thing about the Hughes family, the kids, is they all look 15, so it tells me that there's room for growth. They're so good and so talented, but lots of room for growth. As a general manager, you don't want a guy with a full beard showing up at the table.
Like I said, I'm pumped. He's playing college hockey this year at Michigan, Frozen Four in Boston. Quinn brought Michigan to the Frozen Four, didn't quite get the job done, and maybe his brother Luke can help bring them to that championship they've been looking for now for a while. But now one of the big stories after the Michigan men, who now go 3 of the first 4, is the Columbus Blue Jackets. We know they have 3 picks. After the big Seth Jones trade today, they picked 5th. This is the slot they had. They also picked 12th. That's Chicago's slot. That's the pick they got in the Seth Jones trade. They switched then that 32nd pick. Chicago now has the 32nd pick. Columbus also picks 25th. So, Jeff, this is interesting. You got 3 picks in the first round. Do you take the guy you want the most or the best player?
I think.
I mean, they want them. I mean, they want the most is the best player available.
Yeah.
No, well, sometimes the difference
I
maybe
think that's
there
a little
might be a
dangerous.
couple
That's a
of
little
players
technical
that are
spread.
you know, pretty
this high
good,
of a
and you
pick, I
might
think you're
need
gonna
a
take the guys who are
certain
the best over
position
time.
more than
We have
another.
a number of picks. Let's reset it for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's get the best player here, and let's go back to work and see what's next pick.
Yeah, and listen, traditionally they've struggled to
Brent
score.
Clark
Right,
with
they've
an
had some
E.
outstanding defense. Of course, Seth Jones ended up departing now. We'll see where this takes us, Bucci.
Well, Simon Edmondson, the big defenseman, could replace Seth Jones. They could take that right now. Gary Bettman, introduce Columbus, please.
With the 5th pick, the Columbus Blue Jackets from Nationwide Arena will present John Davidson, the president of hockey operations. JD, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gary.
Oh, there's Rick Nash.
Oh
On behalf
yeah!
of our ownership group, led by John
Wow,
McConnell,
Rick Nash.
our staff,
Good to
coaches, and
see you.
players,
Yep.
I want to thank all the great fans here tonight at Nationwide Arena. Thank you.
And he played for them
It's great
too
to see
before he
Yeah.
came to the Rangers.
Yeah.
To make our first pick in the 2021 National Hockey League Draft, I would like to introduce a great and longtime fan of the Blue Jackets, an Ohio guy, a former captain of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and one of the best broadcasters in the business, ESPN's own Kirk Street.
Oh, he's gonna.
JD, how are you, man? I wish I could be there. I know how the 5th line can get fired up, and some great memories in that arena. And I get back as often as I can, and looking to get back even more this year coming up. But I know it's great to have you back, part of the organization, helping us rebuild and look forward to trying to get back to the postseason. Exciting time. This young man's name I'm about to read is about to play for the most passionate, and loyal fan base, I think, in the NHL. So with the 5th pick in the 2021 NHL Draft, the Columbus Blue Jackets select center Kent Johnson.
Kent Johnson, was he the next on the list?
He had some Sportsnet top 10 highlights last year. He's got an elite brain. Those highlights reminded me of Patrick Kane a couple times, and he's 6'1", real slight, not ready yet. He's got to get in the weight room, do some squats and lunges and deadlifts. But man, this guy can be dirty at times, Sam.
Of all the people in this draft class, he is within the top 3 most dynamic players. And it goes back to his BCHL year with the Trail Smoke Eater, put up 101 points, and he was the guy who was named the top forward. Look at some of the stuff this guy's thinking about. No Carmelo behind him.
Whoa,
Cross-goal.
the cross-goal.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, in tight, I can do that too. But hey, there's not an open. I'm just going to spin around here, go to the backhand, lift it upstairs. Oh my gosh, the poise with all these people all over. And this goal, I absolutely love. Against Minnesota. Backhand, all right to the goal line. Hello. My goodness. In his under 15 year, this guy was 4'11". There was a couple of rides at the amusement
4'11"?
He couldn't even get on the rides at the amusement park. But you know what? He's 6'1" now, skinny. His eyes are single file. But you know what? Like you said, he's going to go to the weight room, eat a little pasta. He'll be ready to rock and roll. Almost a point per game.
Wow,
from
4'11". Well, everybody's 4'11" at some point, right?
Chicken farm 5 nights a week.
Exactly.
First time ever, 3 of the top 4 picks.
Historic.
Like college hockey.
Historic. Plus 16 rating, too. So let's not undervalue the fact that he was a plus player with all the offensive gifts that he has. But perhaps when he was playing in the BCJ back up in BC, the Trail Smoke Eaters, you just showed one of them. He scored 2 Michigan goals, maybe foreshadowing a little bit of Mike Legg, what we saw from Mike Legg at Michigan, and the fact that he's going to go there. But this guy's instant offense, my sweat towel, we got the temperature control in there. It's now a rally towel. It's a rally towel because I thought some people may have been a little bit traditional, Gord, so you could take this over. Now we don't know the flash, the skill, we don't know. I think this guy is both the steak and the sizzle for me.
Well, high-end skill. We all see that. That it has to be tantalizing as you're sitting there with that pick. And he could be the best player of all. Like, we've seen some of the things he can do. It's pretty magical. Interesting to have a Ohio State guy announce the Michigan guy.
Oh, you had to.
I miss that.
Oh, of course. Way to go. Well, speaking of Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, the Red Wings are on the clock. They love Stevie Y. He can do no wrong. He's got lots of rope in this rebuilding process, but we're getting impatient. What will the Red Wings do in the 6th selection? Find out next.
Joining Steve Yzerman, Executive Vice President and General Manager of the Detroit Red Wings, to make the number 6 pick is 10-year-old Harold Washington Jr. Harold represents the thousands of children in the city of Detroit who are experiencing the joys of learning hockey through the Red Wings Learn, Play, Score program. Harold, take it away.
With the 6th pick in the 2021 NHL Draft, the Detroit Red Wings are proud to select
from Frölunda, Sweden, defenseman Simon Edmondson.
Go Red Wings!
Way to go, Harold. Way to go, Stevie Y. So, boy, a big, strong, dynamic Swedish defenseman. Stevie Y probably had some good memories with a Swedish defenseman teammate.
Who would that be? Nick Lidstrom, perhaps? Hall of Famer? Absolute stud.
Nick Lidstrom, I remember him.
So, when it comes to Simon Edmondson, you're talking about the guy who's got size, he's got reach. Some are worried about the offensive upside he's going to bring to the table, but you have to kind of reel it back a little bit and say, if you're going to get a top 2-pairing guy who's going to eat 23 minutes a night, we'll worry about the offensive upside later. Let him just take care of business in his own end. He plays with a little fight, and I like a lot of different things this guy does defensively.
The number 7 pick in the 2021 NHL Draft will be made by the San Jose Sharks. From the SAP Center is Doug Wilson Jr., Director of Scouting. Doug, the floor is yours.
Oh,
The
wow,
San
that's
Jose
creepy.
Sharks are proud to select from Djurgården, Sweden, William Eklund.
There you go. Was that Booyah in Swedish? I'm not sure what he said. It did sound.
I read that way.
Yeah. Well, he's a slippery winger, tons of skill, 5'10", but really competes down low, Sam. This is a guy you just expect is going to be at least good in the NHL.
From the start of the year to the end of the year, he's been the most improved player in Europe. And of all these great Swedish players, they bounce between leagues, the under-20, the Allsvenskan. This guy remained the entire season in the SHL. And that's saying something when you've had shutdowns at various levels and different players are coming back. So I like Eklund because he, again, is like Matty Beniers. He plays the entire rink. He's really responsible guy, yet he's got dynamic ability and the skills. You think about a point production for this guy, 23 points in 40 games. That ranks 5th all-time amongst first-year draft eligibles in Sweden. Who's he in bed with there? Daniel and Henrik Sedin, Nicholas Backstrom. You're talking about some monster names. This guy's ranked 5th in that great country of Sweden with all the great players they produce. That should be somewhat predictive of what he can do for the San Jose Sharks in the future.
From the Toyota Sports Performance Center, amateur scout Chris Burns will make the 8th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft for the Los Angeles Kings. Chris, you're up.
With the 8th pick in the 2021 NHL Draft, the LA Kings are proud to select from the Barrie Colts of the OHL, Brant Clark.
Yay, Clark!
That's our 4th D-man in 8 selections.
That's
Look
my
at
relative.
Brant. We cannot believe it. We kind of had him slotted here, Sam. You thought this was the organization for this right-handed shooting defenseman.
If you look at Chris Burns, the gentleman who just made the pick, he lives in the
What
Ottawa area, and so
nationality
too did
is
the
he?
Park. So he'd be more familiar with Park than maybe anyone and have that intimate knowledge about this particular player.
Arizona, who didn't have a pick when the day started. Remember, they forfeited their 11th overall pick for combine testing violations. Made a big deal with Vancouver today, taking on salary, and they acquired the 9th pick from Vancouver. Commissioner Gary Beck.
From the Gila River Arena in Glendale, Arizona, Director of Amateur Scouting Daryl Plandowski will make the 9th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft for the Arizona Coyotes. Daryl, you're up.
The Arizona Coyotes are proud to select from the Edmonton Oil Kings, Dylan Guenther.
Oh,
they got
finally,
Gunther.
Gunther got picked.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Because he must have been feeling like, what am I, chopped liver?
Big strong kid and
Am I choke to you?
From the Canadian Tire Center, the home of the Ottawa Senators, General Manager Pierre Dorian will be making the 10th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft. Pierre?
Thank you. I would just like to say a hi to all our fans watching on TV. J'aimerais juste saluer tous nos partisans de regarder à la télévision. We can't wait to see you again on October 14th. The Ottawa Senators are proud to select. Les Sénateurs d'Ottawa sont fiers de choisir
Senators
from the USA
d'Ottawa.
National Team Development Program, Tyler Boucher.
That's awesome. Whoa, how about those apples? ESPN's Brian Boucher, his son Tyler committed to Boston
Oh, it's
University.
just Brian Boucher's
He compared him to
son.
Josh
Oh,
Anderson.
wow.
Any team could use
Brian
a player
Boucher,
who's got some
the
skill,
goalie
got some
who's between
snarl,
the...
eh?
Yes, so
Between the glass?
yes. What other Brian Boucher do people know?
Pierre Dorian is in exact lockstep.
That's Brian Boucher.
Where? I missed it.
Behind him.
Because he can play
Oh yeah, I see him.
And I think about some of the recent acquisitions they've made. Nick Paul, you talk about Amadio, you talk about Josh Brown. These are all guys that fit the mold of what DJ Smith wants to play with. Jake Sanderson's got a little bit of that in him as well. And now you go to this guy. It's a bit of a reach because he was hurt for a good chunk of the year. But he can score goals and he can play that nasty game. DJ Smith is going to love this guy.
This is the type of guy that you want in your group because these types of players are difference makers. When you have a forward that plays a power forward game, that has skill, that's
I wonder whenever Tyler Boucher plays hockey, he practices scoring goals against his dad.
He's an absolute beast.
Good evening, Fifth Line. Thank you for your support through a tough season that we had. We really appreciate it. With the 12th overall selection the Columbus Blue Jackets are proud to select from Sioux Falls Stampede, the USHL, Cole Sillinger.
There you go. There's Mike Sillinger. Pops. This is a good player, man. He's just born to do it. You know what I mean? You could see him playing with Ken Johnson one day in Columbus. Jeff, this just seemed like the right pick at the right time, didn't it?
It does, right? Again, makes sense. They go for a really high-end skill player in Kent Johnson, and they back it up with another center down the middle that's hard to play against, that can score goals, has a laser of a shot. His dad played, 2,000 games, right? And for 24 teams, he's been really for a long time. So that's a nice pickup here.
From the Scotiabank Saddledome in Calgary, Alberta, Calgary Flames General Manager Brad Treliving will be joined by Ted Button, the Director of Amateur Scouting. Brad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gary. The Calgary Flames are proud to select with our first pick in the 2021 NHL Draft from the Clark Cup champion Chicago Steel, Matthew Coronado.
There you go. On his way to Harvard University to play for Teddy Donato. He's up there in Livonia, Michigan. 13th overall. Right-handed shot. Got a little sandpaper in his game as well, doesn't he? He sure does. He's like a
wow, 48 goals, 37 assists in 51 games.
Why wouldn't you? When you score 48 goals to lead the USHL, and no one
48 goals in 51 games.
And also 37 assists.
So Coronado, like many goal scorers, the good foundation is created by playing lacrosse. I think about Steven Stamkos, I think about John Tavares. As young players...
So he got 85 points in 51 games.
That gets the hands going, good
wow.
wrist, the ability to change the angle on your shot and really get a lot behind your shot without having to wind up a whole lot. So Coronado's 48 goals on the power play, short-handed. It didn't matter. This guy was scoring them at even strength all over the place. He had a chance to get 50. And he talked with Brock Shannon, the coach there, at the end of the year, and they said, well, do we want to get some younger guys in? Do you want to rest up? And Coronado said, you know what? I don't need 50. I got 48, 16 above everybody else. Let some of the younger guys have a chance. Let me get rested up for the playoffs. And it worked out. They're Clark Cup champs. Absolutely.
For the 14th selection, we return to KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York, where the Sabres will make their second pick of the first round. Jerry Fortin, Director of Amateur Scouting, will be making the pick.
The Buffalo Sabres are pleased to select
One
from
person with a
Leksand
mask on.
in the Swedish Hockey League, Isaac Rosen.
Isaac Rosen, you said
good Jewish boy. That's
Take the
good.
pick, tomato, tomato, chicken parm, veal parm.
A good Jewish boy.
We could use some chicken parm.
Both of those names are Jewish, so I'm assuming he's Jewish.
Boucher, guys that I
Isaac
expected
and
to be
Rosen
high
are both
risers.
Jewish names.
Fyodor
Well, Isaac
Svechnikov
is
would be
a
the other guy. We
biblical
haven't seen
name.
him pick
Rosen
yet.
is
But there was a lot of
Jewish.
talk about Rosen moving up to
I
the
wonder
draft
if
as
he's
we got a lot
related to
closer.
Sam.
You're talking about a guy that is a lot like Ken Johnson. He's 156 pounds.
Because Sam Rosen is
Very light
Jewish.
on the skates.
Yeah.
No problem with the hands and the feet. When
Yeah,
they
well,
work
I'm not
and
saying
sink
it's
at that speed
impossible
and
that
you can fit
somebody
the game at
could
that
have
level,
that name
you're
and not
going to
be
have a lot of
Jewish, but I'm just
success.
saying
And a lot of
it
success is what Rosen had.
most often
Great
a
puck
Jewish
transporter,
name.
goal scorer. At the under 18s, the last 5 games had goals in each one of those. And so it's that goal scoring ability. It's so difficult to find, especially at even strength in the National Hockey League. You think that when he develops physically, that he's going to be a guy who's going to be able to do that for the Buffalo Sabres, and the Sabres need a lot of different pieces. This is just another one of Kevin Adams' tricks here to go with Rosen, who I think is going to be a successful goal scorer at the next level.
Dallas is trading pick number 15 to Detroit for picks number 23, 48, and 138, all in this year's draft. So Dallas sends 15 to Detroit for 23, obviously a first-round pick, 48, second-round pick, and 138. So Detroit, you're now on the clock. For the 15th selection in the 2021 draft, we return to Hockeytown and Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan, and Steve Yzerman, Executive VP and GM of the Detroit Red Wings, will make the second pick in the first round for the Detroit Red Wings. Steve?
With the 15th pick, Detroit selects from the Western Hockey League's Edmonton Oil Kings, Sebastian Cossa.
As his goalie, 17-1-1.
Oh, he's a goalie?
931
Oh, yeah,
save
he's
percentage in the shortened season last year for Sebastian.
We just have the Rangers take Jesper Wallstedt.
What?
We just have the Rangers take Jesper Wallstedt.
Why, you think they need a goalie?
No, because he's the best option left.
Ambassador there. But you think about some of the personal adversity where the fires in Fort McMurray displaced the family for 3 months. They get back into their house. They got to evacuate again.
No, but
because
still.
of the floods. They were able to stay with some family in Calgary.
Who's on deck? The Rangers are on deck.
Rangers!
Jeff Gordon was in that room the last few years. Now it's Chris Drury at the microphones and his first selection.
What?
Management.
Do you know any of them?
No.
16
They're all new.
selections by Tarasenko.
Either new or we just never seen them.
Yeah.
Or the
So
pick is
in
in.
front of the Rangers. And select Sebastian Cossa. Perhaps they had some intel on the Rangers' interest in that netminder. So what does Chris Drury do now with the Rangers selection, the first pick? The pick is in, Commissioner Gary Beck.
The 16th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft will be made from the MSG Training Center in Westchester, New York, by New York Rangers President and General Manager Chris Drury. Chris?
The New York Rangers are proud to select from the Flint Firebirds, Brennan Othman.
Brennan Othman? I didn't see
Well,
that
Twitter
name.
is gone. Sam, what can you tell Ranger fans about Brendan Othman?
They're going to be really happy with him because he plays with a little bit of edge. And at times you think that he's always been the sidecar. He was to Shane Wright with the Don Mills team, and then he goes to the under-18s. Yeah, you got Wright and Bedard, they're doing their thing.
33 points in 55 games.
And he really grew on Coach Dave Barr there because he started out and they were wandering around a little bit positionally out of play alongside of the puck, and Dave Barr turned him up and said, hey, you want to remain on that top line? You better get going here, young man. And that he
I don't know. I don't know if he was even there.
He's proven that he could play with a lead player, but also play an elite style of game. The hands are really good. The skating was improved. And I remember going to a private skate.
I don't know.
From the under 16 days, and I'm saying to myself, wow, this guy's grown a bit. He's skating a little better. Some other scouts said they said the exact same thing. What's really cool is that him and his mom got together and they're trying to find a better nutrition program for him. They don't want to spend thousands of dollars like some of these guys going to train. So they find a local guy, and during the pandemic, he sets up a gym in his garage. And Brendan says, I don't want to drive 45 minutes. I want to use that time to work out 10 minutes from the home. He goes, I don't want to hang out with the guys and be distracted and skate and laugh and do all that kind of stuff. I'm serious about this. I got to go after it. And he did. And he just trained by himself in that garage gym. Might have got a little lonely at times, but you know what? It worked out pretty well now. A New York Ranger, he is.
The 17th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft will be made from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri, by St. Louis Blues President of Hockey Operations and General Manager Doug Armstrong. Doug?
St. Louis selects from Rimouski, Zachary Bolduc.
I think he was on that list.
And all the hats there, just in case, you can pick up the blue note. Still, I think the best logo in all of sports. I love the blueness. This guy's a real slippery player. Jeff, a lot of skill that Doug Armstrong and the staff brought to go with.
Yeah, beautiful skater, lots of talent here. He played with Lafreniere. He's with 30 goals as a 16-year-old. So he's been on the map a little bit, but maybe a little bit undersized, but as he gets a little bigger and stronger, he's got all kinds of talent. He could be a real top 6 player for somebody.
From Winnipeg, Manitoba, the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff, will be making the 18th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft. Kevin?
Thanks, Gary. The Winnipeg Jets are proud to select from USA Hockey National Team Development Program, Chaz Lucius.
Oh, Lucius.
Winnipeg always seems to get a good player. He's on his way to Minnesota. Lots of skill, really good player, and these Canadian teams keep taking Americans.
Closing the gap. A lot of these players have improved so much. I love what USA Hockey's doing right now with the development model. We talked about it off the top. The physicality, the training, the nutrition, the mental. kind of aptitude element of the game, the skill development has been awesome. And Chaz Lucius, when this guy had the bone lesion in the knee, and you think of what he's been able to go through, this is a young man that had to relearn how to walk based on his injury, the severity of it. And I got to tell you, I'm blown away by that progression. And him going and spending time in a hyperbaric chamber, which I've done numerous times, which is something that pro athletes and Olympic athletes do. For him to have the wherewithal to do that and have that commitment, that blew me away as much as his skills.
From outside of the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, President of Hockey Operations and General Manager David Poile will make the 19th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft on behalf of the Nashville Predators. David?
Does anybody read anything about David Quinn? Did he go anywhere?
No.
He's not anywhere else in the NHL?
No.
I thought maybe he might become an
No.
assistant coach or
No.
something.
There you go. Nothing like Nashville. Ryman Auditorium right around the corner. Let's go, Jason, as we'll get a concert there soon. I'll come back down and see you. Igor Svechkov. Sometimes we see center next to players' names, but we're not sure if they can play center in the NHL. What do you think? Can this guy be a center iceman?
Yeah, I do, based on what we saw from the under 18s, and you hope that that progression moves forward. This is the type of player that when you're in Russia, you're in the NHL and you're a star there, or if you're a superstar, you end up playing in the KHL. It's not often that you see young players play in the DHL, which is the AHL equivalent. So he spent a lot of time there. 38 games, had 15 points in those games. For an under 18 player, that's second most all time. And again, you're playing against men, but just not at the highest level. So then he gets brought back to the under 18s. He's in his peer group, and he proves he can do everything. He can win face-offs for you. He can score goals. He's an excellent playmaker. He skates extremely well. The interesting part about this guy is he was getting a lot of late love from the scouting community that I was talking to. But the fact of the matter is there are some teams that worry about taking a Russian player, knowing that he might not come. He has the option to go home. That player may not necessarily want to come over and play in the American Hockey League. This guy's not like that at all. He was telling that, some scouts were telling me that in their interview process, he had taken it upon himself to learn English. Oftentimes when players come over to the CHL and the USHL, they have to learn English by proxy. It's not often that Russian players at that age who are staying over there take it upon themselves to learn the language. And I thought, that's really smart about this guy. He knows what his future is. I love that little tidbit about this young man.
The Edmonton Oilers trade pick number 20 in the 2021 NHL Draft to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for picks number 22 this year, first round pick, and pick number 90 also in the 2021 Draft. So the Oilers trade 20 to the Wild for 22 and 90, and that means Minnesota, you're on the clock. From the Minnesota Wild practice facility at Tree Rink in St. Paul, Minnesota, General Manager Bill Guerin will make the 20th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft for the Minnesota Wild, and it looks like you have some friends with you, so Bill, you're up.
This year we lost a beloved friend and colleague and our assistant general manager, Tom Curvers.
Oh, yeah.
After a long playing career, Tom re-entered the hockey world as an executive, where he had a positive impact on every team he worked for and every individual he came in contact with. Tom will be dearly missed and fondly remembered. Tonight, we have Tom's 4 children, Madison, Rosie, Weston, and Roman, to help us make our picks.
Aww.
Roman, you're up, buddy.
With the 20th pick in the 2021 NHL Entry Draft, the Minnesota Wild are proud to select Jesper Wallstedt from Bolivia.
Jesper Wallstedt, the goalie.
Well, that's a combination of heartbreaking and classy right there to see those 4 children.
Absolutely.
Lost their dad. So Jesper Wallstedt is the pick. I thought Kenny Holland at 20 would maybe take this guy. Because we're talking about a goaltender. Kenny was a goaltender back in the day. But it's Bill Guerin who identifies this Swedish goaltender who some say is an absolute stud. and could be a guy good
He's an
size.
absolute
And
stud.
what you tell me his strengths, Kevin?
No, you're on it. You're on to it right there.
Oh, is that
This
funny?
is a guy that played up in the Swedish Elite
I don't know.
and looked
Usually they don't
exceptionally comfortable doing that.
talk
playing at
about
the highest pro level.
a person
And
being
doing
a
that
stud
not only with
as far
efficiency, but also with
as
consistency
in sport.
as well.
They
And when
can.
I look at him, I really love
They
him in
do.
the teams, but in watching him play
Stud
amongst
is,
men,
I
he doesn't
usually have heard
chase
like
the
to
game.
describe
I can't tell
somebody
you how hard
who's
that
like
is.
really
Having been a young
attractive
goalie myself,
romantically.
you want to jump around. You want to make every save. You want it so badly. And this guy, he's almost at the opposite end where he knows he's going to make the save. He's a big body with an NHL frame, and he's very positionally sound and just plays a very efficient game. This is one of the best goalie prospects out of Sweden in years.
The 21st selection in the 2021 NHL Draft will be made by the Boston Bruins. Don Sweeney, general manager of the Bruins, joins us from the Warrior Ice Arena in Brighton, Massachusetts. Don?
Thanks, Gary. The Boston Bruins are proud to select from Luleå, the Swedish Hockey League, Fabian Lysell.
Fabian Lysell is the pick. You see a bit of a delay here, so they haven't quite heard the name now. So we'll see the reaction. It's always fun. Let's see if they go crazy. A little bit behind, but it's going to be Lysell, the right winger. We see a Nikolai Ehlers comparison. That wouldn't be terrible. Good genes. Dad was a professional soccer player. There's the reaction. Mom, world championship figure skater. So he's got good stems. Must be able to skate, Sam.
Oh yeah, he can boogie. He is one of the most dynamic players that this draft class has to offer.
Hey,
But
now.
again, we talked a little bit about the character concerns with this guy, and so you really had to lean on your strengths to do a deep dive on him. But watch some of the dynamic ability. Here, this is off of a penalty kill. He recognizes that the Belarusians are going to the bench. Oh, end-to-end, picking it up from just in front of his goalie. If that didn't tickle your fancy, how about this? Looks like a apparatus. Yeah, I got a little help there from the D-man. Thank you very much. Nikolai Ehlers, I've seen a little bit of that.
For the 22nd selection in the 2021 NHL Draft, from Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, Ken Holland, president of hockey operations and general manager of the Oilers, will make the pick. Ken?
The Edmonton Oilers select from Shawinigan of the Quebec Junior League, Xavier Bourgault.
There you go. Pay those port rush dues, Kenny. Slippery, good release. This guy good, huh?
Xavier Snipe Show is what we call this guy. So he's played with 3 different coaches in 3 years. It started with Danny Renault. He was a younger coach. Then they moved into Gordie Dwyer, a little bit of a veteran coach. And Ronnie Scholes had him for the last year. And so that can be difficult on a player. But at 16-year-old season, this guy had 33 goals. The problem was he ranked 95th in the league in shooting. So a 21.6 shooting percentage. That's heavy stuff. It's usually down in the low teens. Comes back this year, 20 goals, 20 assists, 40 points. But again, ranked 25th in the league in shots on goal. So what's up? Well, he's playing on a line with Xavier Bourque, Maverick Bourque rather, who was a first-round pick from Dallas last year, and he often deferred to him. Let the older guy have it, let the older guy have it. And then you kind of realize that I'm a really good shooter, I got to shoot the puck more. He has really good deception off the blade. I think about Connor McMichael was taken by Washington a couple of years ago. This guy has really good deception off the blade. And whether it's the release point or whether it's the blade angle, there's something about a shot that's really deceptive and really difficult for goaltenders to pick up. And that speaks to the high shooting percentage in both of those years.
From the Dallas Stars practice facility in Frisco, Texas, Dallas Stars general manager Jim Nill will make the 23rd pick in the 2021 NHL Draft on behalf of the Dallas Stars. Jim?
The Dallas Stars are proud to select from Windsor of the Ontario Hockey League, Wyatt Johnston.
It's like he was celebrating before they even said it.
Didn't play this past season. The OHL shut down. How do you evaluate a guy who didn't play?
This is an amazing story. And no games, except for someone had watched him in his 16-year-old season, Trevor Letowski, the head coach, now with the assistant coach with the Montreal Canadiens, loved him. His second half of his 16-year-old year, just under a point per game. And he started to open eyes with that great hockey IQ. Hockey Canada had the nerve to take this guy without playing any games. Yeah, he looked around, he couldn't find a place to play. The other high-end Ontario kids all went over to Europe. Wyatt Johnston didn't. So they call him. He goes to play for the under-18s. Dave Barr says, "We think we know what you are. We want you to play a third-line checking role." So now you're Wyatt Johnston. You're saying, I haven't played a game all year. I've got one chance to audition my skill set and my point-scoring ability to all the scouts, and you want me to play a checking role? This guy didn't say a word. He accepted that responsibility. He took on that responsibility and was absolutely brilliant in that role. That speaks to everything about this guy and his character. And when they got up in games, Dave Barr said, "We'll give you a couple cookies in the power play. We're up. We're going to get you out there a lot more often." I love this pick here. I thought they might be able to slide back a little more, but he was on some teams' radar towards the end of the first round. This is an amazing story for a guy who really had a 7-game audition in this draft year.
The 24th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft will be made by the Florida Panthers. Shane Trilla, Director of Amateur Scouting for the Panthers, is with us from the Lauderdale Yacht Club in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Shane?
The Florida Panthers are proud to select from the Chicago Steel of the USHL, Mackie Samoskevich.
Another Michigan Wolverine, Mackie Samoskevich, a tight-knit family from Newtown, Connecticut. Sandy Hook.
Oh,
Twin
Sandy
sister
Hook,
Maddie
that's where
plays
that
for
massacre
Quinnipiac, the
happened.
Bobcats.
The
And
Sandy
so
Hook
the night for Michigan
massacre.
continues. Again, this guy's
Where
also
they-
headed to Ann
that
Arbor to play for the Wolverines.
sick,
And what kind of
mentally
player
ill
is Mackie,
kids
Sam?
shot up to
Unbelievable.
school with
That,
all those
he's
little
one of those
kids.
really good skating
That was
players
like
and a
one
guy
of-
again
that was
who's
like
tenacious
several-
on pucks. His work
several
rate
years
is awesome.
ago.
Yes, he has the ability to score goals, but I think the foundation is his ability to really hunt down pucks and play that bulldog style.
terrible.
Not
That was
dissimilar
one
to
of
what
the
you see
first
from Matthew Coronado. So I like what he's able to bring to the table. I think this is a situation here where you're looking at another Michigan guy. My goodness, what is Mel Pearson going to do over there with all of this wealth of talent that he has in front of him? But good opportunity for him to go and
I
play.
know they named the
at
street
least
up
get to the
in
World Junior
Sunnyside.
Camp
I
and see how
think
things
it's
work out for him.
right around
character kid,
44th
great
or
family,
something,
no,
Benjamin Wheeler
like
Way
you
or
said, from
something.
Newtown, can really shoot the puck.
After one of
strong,
the kids
strong in the
from
puck.
Sandy Hook, who I think
I
originally might
like
have,
that pick a lot.
the family or
When you got on the
somebody
road
was
too,
from
these are the
Queens
type of players,
originally.
as one general manager told me, this is the type of player that you want on the road. Road games, tough matchups, going into a hostile environment, playing on the road, Stanley Cup playoff game. These are the type of guys that you need in your group, and that goes a long way. That's a huge compliment for a young player.
The Blue Jackets. Their third pick of the first round is in. Commissioner Gary Beck.
Dubois no longer with the
For
team.
the
Because he's no longer with the team.
2021 NHL Draft,
But who is
we
he,
return
Dubois?
to Nationwide
Of Blue Jacket.
where the Columbus Blue Jackets will round out their hat trick of first-round draft picks, and Jarmo Kekalainen, the general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets, will make the pick. Jarmo?
To announce our next selection in the 2021 NHL Draft, I'd like to introduce a Day 1 Blue Jackets season ticket holder, Matthew Byrne.
With the 25th pick in the 2021 NHL Draft, the Columbus Blue Jackets select defenseman Corson Ceulemans from Brooks of the AJHL.
All right, so Columbus, they lose a right-handed shooting defenseman today to the Chicago Blackhawks. And they select a right-handed shooting defenseman. Good size as well, Sam.
Well, they've addressed the forward position pretty good, so it was time to go to the D to 2 goals we've gone, so this does make logical sense. We've talked about getting into that second tier. Defenseman Ceulemans would represent that. Pretty cool story how he got his name Corson. His dad goes out to the bar one night, gets into the sauce with Shane Corson, and comes home and says, you know what? We're going to name our son Corson. That worked out pretty well. so that's kind of a cool story. But you know, good height, 6'2", 198 pounds. Here's a guy who skates really well. Sometimes a little bit loose in the way he plays, but that's what you get when you allow an offensive defenseman to do his thing. Every now and then they're going to get caught and they're going to make the wrong play and they're going to give up odd mans the other way. But you live with that risk, knowing that the upside for him to produce offense is there. And we're seeing the AJHL. Cale Makar, we talked a little bit about him a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's quite on that level, but he's going the same route as Cale Makar. So I really like this player, and you address the two forwards early on, and now you get a really good defenseman.
For the 26th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft, Bill Guerin is back, general manager of the Minnesota Wild, from Tria Rink in St. Paul, Minnesota, to make the selection. Bill?
We'd like to give a big shout out to all our fans across the great state of Minnesota. And now for our next selection will be Weston Curvers.
With the 26th pick in the 2021 NHL entry draft, the Minnesota Wild are proud to select Carson Lambos from the Winnipeg Ice.
It's a good-looking family right there, those Curvers kids doing a great job. Showing lots of courage to do what they're doing. And Carson Lambos, another defenseman.
Wow, he's
shooting good size. He's
it's the other guy. Guy looks so short.
Or the other guy is so tall.
No, but
Or maybe both.
It's the one in the suit that's the draft pick. I thought it was the guy with the white shirt. I was going to say, wow, he's pretty short for a hockey player.
Or the other guy is so tall. Or maybe both.
They have to go west to play.
The Carolina Hurricanes trades pick number 27 in this year's draft to the Nashville Predators in exchange for picks 40 and 51, both in the 2021 NHL Draft. So to reiterate, Carolina trades 27 to Nashville in exchange for 40 and 51, and that means Nashville, you're on the clock. We're going back to Nashville, and outside the Bridgestone Arena, David Poyle, President Hockey Ops and General Manager, is going to make the 27th selection in the 2021 draft. David?
Thank you. From Halifax at the Quebec Major Junior League, the National Predators are proud to select Zachary Leroux.
All right, talking about sandpaper, we have 4 suspensions this year for Zachary Leroux. He's a stocky kid who's hard on the puck, and that Preds fans love this.
Oh, wow, he's been suspended 4 times.
Wow. Happened to come on Easter, and so he's with Andrew Simmons' billet, and the daughter says, hey, I want to get up with you in the morning and do an Easter egg hunt. And they're like, nah, you got to play against Charlottetown tomorrow night, don't worry about it. He gets up at 5:30, he does the Easter egg hunt. He goes to the rink. They play against Charlottetown. He scores 2 goals, 1 on the power play, 1 shorthanded. He misses in the shootout. They lose in the shootout. He's getting interviewed after the game. What does he do? He's hot. This guy wears his heart on his sleeve. He flips him the bird. That cost him 2 games. And a couple of other suspensions mixed in there as well. His story really starts with the Canada Winter Games for Quebec, an underdog against Ontario in the gold medal game. This guy scores the overtime game winner in what was a pretty big upset on an awesome, really deep Quebec team. He goes to Moncton, has a really good first year there. He gets traded to Halifax. People are starting to question his character. He is a player that needs a little bit more discipline, a little bit more accountability, and a little bit more structure. But you're talking about that bulldog guy who's going to play deep in the playoffs, who's going to play hard, who's going to play heavy, and he's still going to beat you with some skill. This is that guy. So all of the questions about his character, a lot of people were doing a deep dive on this guy when you talk about those 4 suspensions, but you're able to say there safely that it's more immaturity. I see pictures with his billet, he's hanging out with the family, playing guitar with the brothers, John Sim, the ex-NHLer, they're all drinking beers. Zachary Leroux, he's playing guitar, he's not drinking beers, but he's getting involved and he's into that family dynamic in the billet household. Sometimes you sit there like a wallflower, sometimes you get engaged. Leroux's one of those guys that sit down between Andrew and his wife while they're watching TV. Hey, let's hang out here. You know, he's that type of kid.
The 28th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft will be made by Executive Vice President and General Manager Joe Sakic on behalf of the Avalanche from the Breckenridge Brewery in Littleton, Colorado. Joe, you're up.
Thank you, Gary. First of all, I just want to welcome all these great fans here to our draft party.
behalf of our entire organization, we'd like to welcome from HV 71 Sweden, Oscar Olausson.
All right. When we're the brewery, it's going to be loud. I guess they're Littleton, not Breckenridge. That's just the name of the brewery, my bad. This guy's goal scored 14 goals in 16 games this year. Good soccer player growing up, so you got good feet as well. What do you know about Oscar, Sammy? Yeah, 6'1", 180 pounds, a left shot guy, and a guy who was the youngest player for Sweden at the World Juniors. He's only
he's at the same place.
Draft eligible player on that team. But you talk about great skating ability and the ability to marry that with some skill, and that's what
as another draft pick.
And especially with the pandemic, you play at 3 different levels, so you're adjusting to different coaches, different systems.
I think
you're adjusting
before
to
they were
different
saying there was
rinks
some
and
kind of
travel
like
and all
a
those sorts of things.
Swedish
And unfortunately for this young man,
watching
and it
party,
happens a
like
lot for
Yeah.
guys in Sweden, that you get to play at those
Yeah,
three
but it looks
different
like 2
levels.
of them were drafted there.
We don't quite have enough time for you at the SHL, so the numbers move down a little bit when you would expect more from a first-year draft eligible. That wasn't necessarily the case. And so during this time of the pandemic, you know, kind of a quiet, shy, introverted guy when we talked to him throughout the course of our interviews. But again, that skating and goal-scoring ability marrying together, we think you have yourself a player that's going to contribute down the road. Awesome view right there of Jack Hughes hugging his now teammate and brother, Luke. Not quite a teammate yet. Luke will go to Michigan for at least a year. And as he continues to add size and strength, there's Glenn to connect as
really
well.
lost it.
As
Yeah.
Hughes are the first family with 3 top 10 brothers selected in the first round of the NHL draft. And there it is.
like,
The
"You're gonna
Devil's
come
sweater goes
play
on.
with
This
me,
organization
bro.
continues to add
Yay."
pieces, trying to build slowly but surely. And they get this pick from the Islanders. And there is Luke joining other recent first-round picks. Yeah, they had 3 of them last year. So
Yeah. Meanwhile, Quinn Hughes gets upset, is sad because he won't get to play with them. Says like, why can't he play with me? And everyone is like, shut up, Quinn, you're adopted.
Junior A challenge, and as a result of that, they're really set forth.
For the 29th selection in the 2021 NHL Draft, we return to the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, where the New Jersey Devils will have their second pick of the first round. Executive VP and General Manager Tom Fitzgerald, please make the pick.
The New Jersey Devils are proud to select from the Sudbury Wolves, Chase Stillman.
All right, Corey Stillman's son, Chase.
Oh, Corey Stillman.
NHL shutdown, played in Denmark.
A former NHL player.
16 points, 43 pins in 8 games played. And Sudbury Wolves, they got it going on. They got a little Quentin Byfield, and Corey was coaching there before he left to take off to Arizona. But Chase has some of those Corey capabilities. Corey was such a great playmaker during his time. Chase has that, but he adds a different element. He adds that power forward element. And again, here's a guy who showed up at the under-18s, and we're going to talk about this a lot as we have already, because that was such a great time for scouts to view players best on best in the same age group in a small portion of games. And so Stillman went there, and he started banging the body around a little bit. And at times, he probably got out of his lane. Hey, I need to be a goal scorer. Hey, I need to be the point producer. But Dave Barr pulled him back in his lane. Go play that power forward role. Be a checker. Good things will become of it. And you think about a lot of power forwards, how they have success offensively is that their game keys off what they bring to the table physically. If you have that, everything else seems to fall in place. And I think Stillman is very much that type of player.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, the Vegas Golden Knights selection will be made by Kelly McCrimmon, who's the Golden Knights general manager, and he will be making the 30th selection in the draft. Kelly?
From the Gatineau Olympic of the Canadian Hockey League, the Vegas Golden Knights are proud to select Zach Dean.
There we go, two-way player. Grandpa Bob was inducted into the Newfoundland Hall of Fame. That's huge.
Oh, yeah.
My nana was from Newfoundland.
Nice.
My dad's mom
Nice.
emigrated when she was 18 to South Boston from Newfoundland. So, but Zach Dean, what can you tell us, Sam? What did Vegas get here?
He's the third straight guy from Newfoundland to be picked in the last 3 years.
Look
We
at
had
that
Alex
hair.
Neal, we had Dawson Mercer last year. Zach Dean is the type of guy that's got a little bit of that old school mentality. He's a really good skater. North-south, he's been challenged more to start to take D wide. But this is a guy who started at center last year. Coaching change, Louis Robitaille goes in there. He moves him over to the wing because he thinks he can be more effective there in utilizing that speed and getting in on the forecheck. So it was a bit of an adjustment for Dean to get used to it. He was just
Now they have 34.
On the feet. But one thing I really like about this guy, around
Maybe
the net, he
that's
seems
maybe
to have
that's
touch. He
for
seems
the
to
next
have the ability
round.
to find
Yeah.
soft ice or quiet ice.
I mean,
He
after
gets in front,
32, the
tips,
first round is
deflections,
over.
The ability to
Right.
anticipate where rebounds are going to be. So in that 15 to 20-foot range, utilize that
So I
speed,
guess
get
the
there,
show is gonna
hold
be
your
over
spot,
after
show a
they-
little bit of that
32nd
mentality
round, of
with the net front
course.
presence, and then use your good stick skills to try and put it in the net.
Because the rest of the rounds don't happen till tomorrow.
Is the basis for the success in his game.
So good. 2 more clicks to go. Very good.
Another commercial.
In the first round, I think they switch with Columbus all over the world. Hey, every country celebrating this great moment as you are drafted in the first round of the National Hockey
Why couldn't they have finished the final 2 picks?
From Montreal, Quebec, at the Bell Center, which will host our next draft, Mark Bergevin, the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, will make the 31st selection in the 2021 NHL Draft. Mark?
Thanks, Gary. Avec le 31e choix au total, les Canadiens de Montréal sont fiers de sélectionner. With our 31st pick overall in the NHL Draft, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select the Knights de London défenseur Logan Mailloux.
All right. Well, this is something the league
50 assists.
but now it has happened.
What?
This guy got 50 assists, 18 goals.
About a week ago, Mailloux was charged in Sweden earlier this season.
68 points in 48 games. And he's a defenseman!
Wow.
Distributed it without her consent.
Oh my
Took
god!
himself out of the draft, basically telling NHL teams, I don't want to be drafted. That was part of his apology. And trying to obviously deal with this, ask for forgiveness, and get through it, and get on with his hockey life. We assume that,
He was
sometimes
charged
things
with
go as fast as
something.
people wish they can.
They drafted him anyway? He said he didn't want to be drafted?
He said it as an
Maybe
apology.
in the history of the draft. We went to the 4th round last year. It doesn't get quite the play of what the 1st round gets. Mitchell Miller renounced the pick, loses a scholarship to UND. This is an entirely different situation, but of equal magnitude. And when the player says that he wants to renounce himself from the draft, and then you go ahead and pick him, I have a hard time with that. And the thing is, when you're looking at where this young man is, and he's saying, hey, I need to work on my character, there's other things I need to do, let's not forget about the victim here. I have a daughter. I would be very concerned about what I'd have to do to that player. Now, the second thing is, we need to talk a little bit about second chances. We live in this cancel culture, which I don't necessarily believe in either. And so, you must think, as Mark Bergevin and the Montreal Canadiens, that you're going to be able to support not just the player, but the victim and the victim's family. We can't forget about them here. So without a doubt, the most polarizing pick I have ever seen, maybe ever in this draft, with the publicity of the first round.
So he was
I'm absolutely
accused or
fascinated that they went
convicted
down
or
this
something
road.
of
I
some
thought
kind
if
of
you defer to year, you allow them to do
molestation
some things.
or
London Knights
sexual
and
abuse
London
or
to
something?
support them
I
and
think
support
I
the
fully
player and the
missed
family,
it.
the victim's family, that maybe there would be some way that you could get back and be in this position again next year. So I'm shocked. There's no machination in the CBA for a player to technically pull himself out of the registry, and so he was always available, although on Twitter on July 20th, he renounced himself. I'm fascinated and flabbergasted and shocked at this pick.
Yeah, I would say that, there was 32 lists of 32 teams that had their players, and he's on one. He's on one, and Montreal's taken him. I will say, you know, they have a ton of former NHL players there that dive into character, spend a lot of time in it. Obviously, they feel comfortable, but you know, the other teams here at the end of the draft, in the first round, other teams felt the opposite.
He is a first-round talent. On the ice, he is a first-round talent.
Yeah. No question. From a talent standpoint, there's no question. But you do have to weigh the character. I mean, character is something, and for so many of us that have played this game, regardless of our age or work in this game, we're always, I know in my case, I felt like I was walking a tightrope over Niagara Falls with no safety net. And it doesn't always mean that you step every time with the right step, but for the most time you do. In an instance like this is an egregious act that took place, and you hope for him and his sake, and more importantly for the victim's sake, that they're able to come to a place where they can find a little bit of healing, especially on her side and her family's side, and for him as a young man to continue to work on some of the poor decisions that he made and his personal development. Yeah. Because a lot of what we do here isn't only playing and working the business.
Why would the team pick somebody who, when the guy said he didn't want to be picked in the draft?
Where he's going to have to play.
Second chances.
Yeah, but the guy himself said, "Don't pick me," but they picked him anyway.
Well, John, first of all, I just want to
Second
reiterate
chances.
something that Sam mentioned. Even though Logan Mailloux came out recently and said he didn't want to be selected from the draft, you can't technically renounce yourself from the draft. If you're eligible, you're eligible. So this was Montreal's choice, even though Mailloux had taken himself out, quote unquote. This was something the Canadians were allowed to do. You can't officially take yourself out of the draft. Just a couple other notes on Montreal today. First of all, the Canadians, one of the wildest stories of the week was Carey Price, and just his situation and the fact he was left unprotected in the expansion draft for the Seattle Kraken. Price underwent knee surgery today. They said he's going to be okay for the start of the season. That's the expectation. He also had some other areas of himself looked at, but they decided no surgery was needed. So Price, the Canadians do expect he will be ready to play at the start of the 2021-22 season.
Yeah, Montreal's lucky that Seattle didn't take him.
So the
Well, I guess that was
pick is
because
the one
he
more pick to go.
was scheduled for
Chicago Blackhawks,
surgery.
here's the commission.
They probably didn't want to take a
The
chance
Chicago
that
Blackhawks
maybe
will be
it
making
wouldn't turn out well.
second selection in the first round.
Yeah, but still, it was a dumb move that they would leave him exposed.
Which is obviously the
They
last
might
pick
have
of the
figured
round.
that nobody's
Now
going
go
to
to
take
Stan
him because
Bowman,
he's scheduled
president of
for
hockey
surgery.
But
operations
still,
and general manager for the
he's one of the
Chicago
best
Blackhawks
goalies in the
at the
league.
fifth
He's
arena.
one of, if not the reason why Montreal made it to the Stanley Cup final.
Stan?
Thank you, Gary. I'm proud to have 8 talented, accomplished women here with me who are crucial to the success of our hockey operations and youth hockey. Over the last 2 years, we've been determined to add perspective and knowledge that has made us a better staff and organization. This is just the beginning for us. To make our inaugural pick in this draft, I'm turning it over to Megan Hunter.
Thanks, Stan. With the 32nd overall pick in the 2021 NHL Entry Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are proud to select from the Prince Albert Raiders, Nolan Allen.
All right, so this is a bit of a reach in terms of where players are rated before the draft. You never know for sure, but Nolan Allen way down on the list. So they trade Seth Jones. They get Seth Jones today, Chicago. Part of that trade was switching
Round 2,
spots
Saturday at
with Columbus.
11.
Gave up a young defenseman in
Round
that deal,
2,
and just
Saturday
take
at
one the same
11.
day, get one right back in Nolan Allen.
They have a couple of second-round picks, and I think Nolan Allen would be still available.
Yeah, if you have the
Either one of
NHL
those
channel.
2 second-round picks.
NHL Network.
But you have a lot of confidence that this guy is a great defensive defenseman. His mentor, Caden Dooley, went in the first round last
But
year.
the thing is,
and
even
now
if
the
you want
Prince
to get
Albert
that
coach,
channel, you have to
Mark
take a whole
Going back
package
to
of
the
channels
Yeah.
in order to get that one
history
channel.
Yeah.
developing top-notch defensemen, and so you have confidence in that area.
Because I
But
remember
this is
thinking
a
it was
guy
last
who's
year or
third
the
in
year
the Bantam
before that I had
draft.
called
He looks to me as if he projects
cable
to be more
company to
that
find out if I
complementary
could get the
defenseman.
NHL
He's a
Network
good first
channel.
pass guy, can
And
transport
they
the puck
said,
a little bit.
you know,
He's really
I
agile.
forgot how much
and
it
he
was
uses
going
his
to
feet to
cost,
defend,
but
which I like.
you
But
have to
he's a
take
guy
all
that I
these
think
other
you're going to
channels
look after,
with it in order
taking
to
care
get
of
that
business
one
in front of your
channel.
own net, moving the puck
And I only
quickly
wanted
and
that one
efficiently,
channel
and then
just to
allowing
watch the
others to be able
draft,
to
so it
be
wasn't
point
worth
producers.
it.
Exactly. You know who he reminds me of? And I don't say this lightly because he had an amazing career. Brent Seabrook. Steady Eddie defenseman, physical. As a goalie, you love having a Brent Seabrook in front of you. As you talked about his ability to box out, allow you to get a sight line on the puck. and then impacting the game physically, having some of those tough matchups in front of the net, doing some of the dirty stuff, but also a very agile skater, smooth skater as well. So that's kind of a little, if you're the Chicago Blackhawks and you get a player in that mold,
You're going to make their fans happy by saying that. That's great. Yeah. It's a little like we thought we'd see the rankings. Some guys would jump up way up with the limited viewings. We didn't see as much.
Right.
But here we see it, and obviously they feel pretty strongly about him. And if he's anything like Seabrook,
yeah, that's one of the more popular
So we have
players
an
for
Allen
days
with
Chicago
two
Blackhawks
A's and a Clark
of the
with
last
an E.
decade. So that is it. The first round in the books. There it is. As the first round in 2021 is finished. We're not done yet. After a quick timeout, we'll come back and talk about the first and wrap it up.
No. Yeah.
Talk more about the
Yeah. Now I can finally go to sleep.
Players are at the tips of your fingers.